Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the shop. Well, I got another shop modification that I want to do here today. It involves the table crane here. Now, I've installed this thing probably 6 months ago, and I really didn't know how much I was really going to be able to use it. But turns out I've used it at least a half a dozen times, and it has really come in handy here in the shop. However, there's one more thing that I want to do to it that's going to make it even that much better, and that is I need to extend this arm out 2 more feet. Now, currently, this is 5 feet. It's at its maximum extension per the manufacturer, per this design right here. There's 3 different adjustments right here. Fully extended out, maximum lifting weight currently is about 220 pounds. You move it in, it's about 800 pounds. You move it into the 3rd spot right here, and it's about 1,500 pounds of lifting capacity. But I found out what works the best for me is where it is out here. About 220 pounds lifting capability. 5-foot extension gets me onto my welding table, swings out this way. I could pick anything out of the bed of my truck, swing it around this way, drop it down on the ground, or pick something up this way, swing it around and get on the table. Works great. However, one more thing I want to do is I want to be able to swing this around, pick up a 4x5 sheet of 1/8-inch thick material out of the back of my truck and swing it onto my plasma table that's over here. Well, in order to do that, I need that 2-foot more extension out. And then I'll be able to do that, and that's just going to be added bonus here for the table crane. So what my plans are here is I'm going to utilize this piece right here. It slides into this 2-inch by 3-inch rectangular tube, and we're going to use this for the 2-foot extension part. What I'm going to change is this 2-inch by 3-inch rectangular tube. Now, this is only 180 or 120 wall thickness. It's only 1/8 of an inch thick. So right now it's currently 3 feet long. So what I want to do is replace this with a 5-foot long one, and I have some over here that is 3/16 wall thickness, 188 wall thickness. And we're also going to remove this 1/4-inch plate gusset right here. I'm going to remove this. I'm not going to remove this. I'm actually going to weld on top of this a 6x6 1/4-inch plate, and then I'm going to take some 1/4-inch thick material and I'm going to extend it out over here to help support that 5-foot length. And then this piece will slide in, and I'll keep it retracted in there because that's really what I use it for most of the time. And then when I need it for the plasma table, we'll just extend this out, and I'm hoping that that's going to work out really good. So all that said, I hope you understand all that. Let's take this thing down and make those modifications. Today's video is sponsored by King Metals. They've got all your fabrication needs in one location. From hinges to hardware, balusters to metal decor, brass to aluminum, and a whole lot more. You name it, they've got it. Check them out today at kingmetals.com. Now let's get back to today's video. Okay, so the first thing you guys are probably going to say is, oh, when you extend that, you're going to compromise the weightlifting capability that it was designed for. And I'm fully aware of that. But by me upgrading this to thicker material, I'm just hoping and modifying the gusset there on the end. I'm hoping that that is going to make up for anything that I'm going to do. Now, the only extension, the only reason why I'm extending this 2 extra feet is just to pick up some sheet metal to get on my plasma table. And I think the heaviest that is a 1/4-inch 4x4, somewhere around a couple 100 pounds, and 1/8 inch is maybe around 100 pounds. So I shouldn't have any problems with that. At least I'm hoping not, especially the way I'm going to modify this. So we'll see how that goes. All right, just assembling everything right here. I've got everything all taken apart, and I'm taking the winch off right here, and just getting all the pieces ready to modify. Now, some of them I'm going to be modifying a little bit, and some of them we're going to be modifying more. One thing about this right here, you see me taking off the winch, and for some reason I feel I need to take this plate off, but I'm not even going to use this piece right here. And I don't know why. I wasn't thinking, between filming and trying to think how to do everything, I just proceeded to take this plate off thinking it needed to come off. And in fact, I had no reason, no intention of using any of that. So anyways, it's a little waste of time, but you know, you just can't think of everything in the moment, that's for sure. All right, that piece out of the way. Now I am going to be using this piece right here, but I don't need this little round eye on the bottom. I don't know what it's there for. It's what it came with. I've never used it, nor have I ever seen any reason to use it for what I've used it for so far anyway. So I'm getting rid of it. I'm just going to cut it off. And then I'm just going to grind that flat. You know, I've got a couple other modifications to do this thing here. I got to drill some holes in it. We'll get to that a little bit later. That out of the way. The next is this. This is the biggest part here. All right, I got to cut these gussets off, and I'm over here at the Evolution, and I'm trying to get this thing clamped in a way that I can efficiently and effectively cut this thing safely without any dangers. But I've got this. They have an adapter for round tube, and I've got that in there. And no matter how hard I clamped it or how I adjusted it, I just couldn't get it to work properly. So eventually, I just took that thing out, and then I just went ahead and just clamped it in there like this. And I finally got it into a position I was happy with and tight enough, but I'm just going to go with it. All right, the Evolution has no problem with the Champion blade on there ripping right through here. And this is about the easiest way I could think of doing this. There's several different ways you probably can, but this is the way that I chose to go with it. All right, those gussets are done. We don't need those anymore. And then I'm over here at the Yost Vice. This thing here I got several years ago. That's 750 Di. This thing here is for this purpose right here. It swings 360 degrees, and you know, I've got it opened up to where the pipe is on there. Pipe clamp is on there. Perfect for holding this in place. All right, doing the grinding right here, and you saw me switch over to a new disc. Most of the grinding discs that I use are 60 grit, and for this one right here, I jumped over to the 36 grit, and it really removes the metal fast. So the idea is to just get that all ground down flat and get the paint, most of the paint off there, because I am going to be welding the plate on that a little bit later on. And there's this nut. For whatever reason, from the factory, they have this nut welded on. I don't really know what that was for, but I don't need it. Well, let's get rid of that while I've got it in here. Okay. Now it's onto the tube. Now this is, I chose to go with the 5-foot piece, and with the extra little piece in the end, it's about 2 feet. It's going to give me what I need. So I am cutting this off at right about 5 feet. Now this is a 2x3 by 3/16 wall thickness, and so we've jumped that up quite a bit from the original 1/8" wall. Now these are the gussets right here that I'm making. Now this is just a piece of scrap metal that I got at my metal supply store. Now ideally, I think I'd really wanted about 3 or 4 inches longer. I'd like to have the gussets a little bit longer than what I actually made them. But this is what I had to work with, and so I'm just going to go with it. I'm getting ready to cut it with a plasma cutter here. And just ripping right through there. It's worked out pretty good. There's lots of ways of doing this, but this is the way I choose to do it on this one, and it worked pretty good. You know, sometimes you just got to use the tools in your shop. You know, I don't use the handheld plasma cutter that much, but hey, you know, I have it, and this was a good opportunity to use it, and this worked out really good. I'm going to clamp these together and just kind of clean up the edges a little bit. That 36 grit, man, just gets the business done right here. All right, so I'm lining it up right here. Now, one thing I want to do, and you probably really can't see it here, but the boom or the arm there, the 5-foot one, I've got it raised on about a 5-degree pitch upward. I kind of want an angle when it's all together, slightly going up. I just didn't want it level. I wanted to just have it slightly going up, but you can't really see what's going on right there. So, all right, it's time to drill these holes out right here. Got the Champion AC42 mag drill right here and some annular cutters, 7/8. Okay, I want you to take note. Look at the bottom of the mag drill. You might see the end of a chuck key sitting in the bottom of the slide right there. More about that chuck key a little bit later. I never noticed it until I was well into the drilling of this because it didn't really affect me too much until later when it did affect me, but I didn't even notice it was even in there. You know what happens is it comes in a case. The drill comes in a case with a bunch of accessories, and that accessory somehow, when I lift and move the case around, that accessory slipped into the slide right there. But anyways, we'll get that fixed. All right. This is the last of the holes, drilling through both plates. Now I am replacing it. They had two 5/8 pins in there, if you remember from the very beginning. I'm replacing those with 3 7/8 grade 8 bolts, so a better upgrade there. All right, those out of the way, and then I'm just transferring the holes over to the tube right here. And now is where I'm going to have the problem, and this is when I'm going to notice that check key's in the way. I need full depth right here in order to get through this tube, and you can see I hit it right there, and I'm going, what's going on here? And whoop, look at that. You got a check key in there. All right, no problem. Now, if you just notice, this is a 2-inch angler cutter, and I was worried I wouldn't be able to get through the tube, and barely. I mean, I have like 1/8 of an inch of travel left, so that was just enough to get through there. Notice it goes through the first one and then the second one. After I get it all the way down there, and then when I punch through, there's just nothing left. So I'm glad that worked out. You know, mag drills are something you don't use every day in the shop, but boy, they sure are nice to have, especially in a situation like this right here. I guess the other option would be to set them up in your drill press or set it up in the mill maybe, and you know, drill some holes that way. But this is quick and easy, and it worked out really good. All right, so that piece slides in there. So now I've got to make a couple of adjustments and a couple of holes into the existing extension piece right here. Before, it only had one pin holding it in as the adjustment area, and I want two. When it's fully retracted in, I want to have two 5/8 grade 8 bolts holding it in, and when it's retracted out, or it's extended out I should say, I want two bolts at the very end holding it in place. Now, that's probably overkill. You don't really probably need that, but I don't know, in my mind, you know, I'm building something, and I don't know, it can seem like I can never have enough. It's just never going to be strong enough, and more's better, but not all the time is more is bigger, always better. But this is the way I'm doing it, and you can see those barely fit through there. All right, got that done, and those slide in right here, and now I'm marking the holes that I need on the extension piece. I've got a couple of those to drill in there. You know, it's not exactly a super tight fit. I gotta say, the extension piece that I'm drilling in right there was an odd size. This is obviously made overseas. This came from China, so the metal over there is slightly just a different size. But anyways, good enough. It'll work. All right, this is the plate I'm talking about here, and it's 1/4 inch, basically 6 inch by 5 inch, and I'm just going to weld it right to this. Now, here's the beauty of the HTP Revolution 2500 and how simple it is to switch from MIG to stick, and I really like that. You can see that I just tacked it in place right here, and then I just one hit of the button, and now I am stick welding. You know, it's nice to do that. I don't get a chance to stick weld very often, and generally it is 1/4 inch thick or thicker plate that I like to stick weld. I call that the limit right there at 1/4 inch with MIG welding. You know, usually it's 1/4 and less for MIG, and 1/4, you know, around 1/4 and larger for stick is what I like to use anyway. So that's what we're doing on this. We're just gonna stick weld this all the way around. Gives me a chance to hone my skills a little bit. You know, it's been a while since I've done any kind of stick welding. And you know, I don't know, sometimes it's like riding a bike. You know, you just some things never change, and you don't forget how to do it. All right, so I'm laying this out. These are some pieces that are going to be going on the inside. This is some 2-inch by 1/4 inch flat bar, and I'm using this as a divider or separator, or I don't know what you want to call it, just to keep the two plates tied together in a sense. And I'm just tacking these in place right here. And once I get these tacked in, we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to stick weld these in, but not going to be fully welded out. They're just going to be held in there to holding the two plates together. You might notice the stinger on my stick welder. You know, I mean, you don't see these very often. I think this is called a Tico or Trico. I'm not really certain. I saw someone using it several years ago, and I thought it was very clean, very simple, and so I got one, and I've been using it ever since, and I really enjoy it. You don't have that extra long clamping handle. It just kind of twists open and twists closed. It's pretty cool. I like it. All right, so sticking the plate on here, I learned a little bit of a lesson right here. Apparently, the 2-inch by 1/4 inch flat bar stock is slightly under 2 inches, and the tubing that needs to fit in there is slightly over 2. When I say slightly, just by maybe 3 or 4 thousandths. Well, that makes a difference because it's going to make for that. You'll see here in a minute. Once I didn't check this prior to tacking this into place, but good thing I checked it before I welded everything out here. I thought maybe I better check and be sure everything fits in there. And so here is just a little sample piece coming up right there, and it is a tight fit. So I didn't like the idea of me having to pound that in there. I didn't like that. I want to be able to have it somewhat adjustable so I could just slide. If I need to take the boom apart or whatever with the 3 bolts, I want it to be able to come out easy. So I went ahead and cut the tacks off right here, and I'm going to spread this apart a little bit and kind of make it so that thing fits in there. All right, getting better. So what I thought I would do is I've got some metal shims right here that I don't know, might be a 1/16 of an inch thick, maybe a little bit thicker. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shove a shim in there on both sides, kind of spread that apart a little bit, and hopefully that'll be enough, and it'll be a nice smooth or an easy fit. It'll be able to remove it easily and put it back in easily. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. All right, let's get this out, try it. Yep, that's pretty good. All those fit in there, and I got a nice smooth fit. I'm happy with that. All right, here we go again. I'm just gonna weld these together. This is, trying to get inside of here. I mean, it's probably something I wouldn't have been able to done with a MIG gun anyway, So I got this long electrode, and I'm getting in the inside and, I'm just welding these things up. Not all the way, just a little bead on either side, just kind of whatever it takes to hold the plates together. Nothing's going anywhere. This is not going anywhere. All right, now that I'm happy with that, and now it's time to get this welded on here, and same process. I'm just going to weld this all the way around. Now this, I'm going to go ahead. Let's see here. If I show it, I definitely got welded on the inside all the way through that too. I don't know if I showed it or not. Yep, I guess I'm going to. So this was all the way through, both sides. I'm going to need that strength for sure. Okay, so we're moving along here on the project. Almost got everything complete and ready to go here. The very last step here is to mount the winch plate onto the new arm, if you will. Now this was the existing one, the old one that we're replacing, and you can see that this was the winch mount before. It was like welded here like this, and what I don't understand is why it's 11.5 inches long and 5.5 inches wide. I don't know the idea, other than the fact that maybe it's protecting this part of the winch, but I don't know that we need that. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make a plate that is roughly 5 inches square, 1/4 inch plate, and we'll weld that on here. The other thing is, you might see these 2 holes here. These are 5/16 holes. They are drilled and tapped, and the only thing that was holding this winch in place were these 2 5/16 by 1/2 inch long bolts, and they went through the winch and they tapped into this 1/4 inch plate, and that is all that was holding this thing on to pull all this weight that you could be lifting. And so we're going to modify. Yeah, I just can't imagine those little 5/16 a 1/4 inch into the plate there. It's all it was holding that on. It's just kind of amazing, but we're going to solve that right here. This is the new mounting plate. It's a little bit smaller. I didn't have any reason for that to be as big as it was, and then I'm just going to go ahead and make this right here. It was only 2 inches across right there, and then I got a couple of tacks on the inside, a couple little short welds on the inside, so we went with it. Like I said, my cutoff is right at 1/4 inch anyway, so this is what we're going to use. I was sticking the wire right up inside that gap inside there. You can see the rounding part of the tube right there and the flat part. I just needed to get that wire right up inside there nice and deep so I can get some penetration in there to stick the two together right there. All right, over at the mill, we're going to slide this in and get ready to drill and tap. I got a machinist jack right there on the end. Just hold it in place. Everything is nice and level. And I just need to move this into, I've already marked and punched the center lines of the holes. This is a 5/16 drill bit, and we're going to be tapping it with 3/8/16. And this worked out pretty good. Everything's a nice straight line, and hopefully that'll mount right up. Do a little countersink right here while I got this in. Not much, just a little bit, just to take that sharp edge off. That's all I really need. All right, I got these speed taps right here. I got these at KBC Tool. These things are pretty cool. They come in metric and standard, and I think it's a 1/4, 5/16, 3/8, and 1/2. Just put them on the end of your drill right there with the matching socket head, and man, they're quick and easy, fast. It works out really good. And those are 3/8 grade 8, about 1.25 inches long. Little test fit right here, and I like the way it goes through all the way through both plates and into that tube. Shouldn't have any problems there. All right, I like it. All right, with everything all done and complete, it just time to get a little bit of paint on this. And I had what was called safety yellow, and that's what I had in the shop. And it's not the exact match, but it's close enough. And that's what I'm going to go with. All right, so I got everything painted here, and it's almost the same color as the existing crane. This is the closest color that I had on hand. This is safety yellow. It'll be just fine. I'm fine with it. Getting ready for the assembly now. The first thing I got to do is feed the power cable through the head right here and through the plates right here and out the top. The power cable is for the winch on the top, and I've got to do that. That's what the blocks of wood are there for. I'm by myself, so it's hard for me to do that. This is a heavy piece, and so for me to get this thing lifted up and try to feed through there, it's difficult by myself. So I'm going to set it up on these blocks, get the wire fed through there, and then we'll be able to start the assembly. All right, let's do it. All right, so what I had to do is I did it off camera. I had drilled a few holes through those 2 inch by 1/4 inch plates that I welded in the center there. I forgot about that, so I had to drill those in and to feed this cable through. I couldn't get them completely lined up. They were slightly off a little bit, and that's why I have such a problem right here getting the wire through. But eventually got it through there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stick this over the top. That bearing didn't seat right there. Just took it off here and then resaw it, and there it is. It's set right down there. Everything is good. All right, and then for the boom, feed the wire through. Again, awkward. Everything's super heavy, and I'm always having to do everything by myself right here in the most awkward position. And I guess after I got the paint and stuff on here, that kind of tightened that boom up a little bit, and it wasn't as free as it was before I painted it. But that's fine. It'll work out. Oh, it's nice to get that bolt in there. All right, there's 3 7/8 grade 8. I don't think that's going to be coming off. I like the way that pivots, nice and smooth. And then this is the extension right here, and fully retracted in instead of the 1 pin. Now I've got 2 pins right there. I'm happy with that. And then it's time to get the winch on. Sorry I got myself in the way of the camera right here, but you're not missing too much. It's just a matter of setting it on, getting the bolts started, and hooking up the wire leads to the power lead, I should say. And then just tightening up the winch bolts. A lot better than what it was before. All right, and then this is what I got. This is a little power unit right here. I've got it to where it just plugs in, and then I've got the up and down part of the crane right here, and this is how I operate it. And then I've got I welded a little bit of a hook on the end just to hold that hold the hook in place right there. All right, and I'm just demonstrating taking it out and giving me that extra 2 feet that I need to reach over to my plasma table to put the sheet metal in there. God bless America. And then put it all back together. This is the first time, by the way, I retracted this thing back. All right, well, there it is when it's all retracted back. It's pretty cool. And here we are just a few days later. This is when I actually had some sheet metal. We're going to give it the true test right now. I need to get a sheet on the plasma table, and then here's how that's going to work. This is really the first time that I ever tried it or used it in this application, and this is what I did this whole thing for. Is just for this reason right here. This is some 1/8 inch, a 4x4 sheet of 1/8 inch, and I've got a mag right in the middle right there with a hook on the end, and I'm not certain. This thing weighs just a little over 100 pounds, but you know, it's not the weight so much, it's how awkward it is. You know, it's 4 foot square, and trying to get the thing lifted up by yourself and get it out of the truck and get it on there is difficult. And you can just see right here that this is the only reason why I made this modification, for this reason right here. I mean, it was little or no effort really at all. You can see how I just lifted it in and then just slid it right in there, and that actually worked out absolutely perfect. So mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned. And then here we go. This is the first time that I'm trying to get things put back together here. Please don't try to watch too much of my big fat belly hanging out. But hey, I'm pretty happy the way this turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this little shop modification with the table crane. It was a fun project for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.